I made it like halfway here and I was, wait a minute. I should know better. It's right in front of me.
I love the owl.
Hi, everyone. I'm joining you remotely tonight.
For the audience of citizens. Speak on me.
It's my agenda. I don't know. Cause I did not print that.
You need the agenda?
You have an action?
I have one.
Yep. Yeah. There's too far away. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, we have quorum.
All right,
We'll give it just-
Oh, and we also have Mary. I had the same problem with my computer in here yesterday. You can't get onto the internet. Unless I'm locked down. I'm wired in when I'm in my office with my laptop, but here, no internet.
How are you?
Warm. I know. Look at the summary.
Pansies on my front porch are blue.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah, I gave them a good watering and I hope they come back.
I have to do that.
And I got a very stubborn robin that wants to make a nest on my front railing.
Sometimes you just have to let them.
It's a mess. It's all over.
But it's good luck. That's what I tell my husband. When we have a purple house finch that likes to nest in the rafters. They call it a purple house finch, but it just has like this tiny red blush on it. I don't know why they call it purple. Yeah, gets up on in the porch. I do draw the line at them building a nest in the wreath on the front door.
That's what I was just gonna
Heard
say,
that.
every year they try to do it, and then we try to
There's
take
no
down
way-
the.
There's no way that this one, it's a railing going over a ramp that I had put in. And she's on this kind of an angle. And it's not gonna work. And she keeps on off again. And she's dead.
Yeah, bird brains are funny. All right. So as soon as John is done being
I'm
a
sorry.
being tech support,
Is my computer spazzing out?
okay, are you gonna need that?
Oh, just if I do the audience of citizens, but if I have to.
Oh,
check
okay,
email, I can always check on my phone too.
okay, all right. In that case, who's gonna take notes today? Since Bill's not here.
I, well,
All right, thanks, Chris. We're gonna call this meeting to order at whatever time it is,
6:34.
6:34. All right, does anyone have any changes or comments on the March 9th meeting minutes?
No, I do not.
No, all right, then they will be submitted as presented. All right. And that brings us to the director's report.
So a couple things this month, we have started, a bunch of new monthly meetings for the staff. So on the last Tuesday of every month, we have an all-staff meeting where we, bring in staff from both libraries, meet together and just share ideas, talk about what's new, any changes or updates. We've been rotating between the two libraries every other month. It's really fun to see each other. Pat and Joe, two branch managers, and I have been meeting every Wednesday for our weekly managers meeting, which is great. And again, that's a little bit way for us to be more granular and just kind of drill down on things that are happening in the libraries and then discuss our upcoming plans and goals. All of the staff who do programs in the libraries, which are quite a few folks, have been starting to meet once a month. So we're meeting at the end of each month, and then we get together and kind of plot out all the programs we're doing, what kind of budgetary net needs we have for that. The last meeting we had, we really focused on summer reading plans because that's coming up soon. So our summer reading program will start at the end of June. It will run through the sort of mid-August. And I'll have more detailed information for you at the next meeting about the specifics that we're doing. We are doing a high school library card drive. Anastasia Wilson, who's sort of our acting teen librarian, and I will be visiting the high school during National Library Card Week. It'll be on Wednesday, April 26th. We'll sit outside the cafeteria or right inside the cafeteria. And we'll have library card applications and we'll sign kids up if they're interested and let them know about our Libby app where they can download free audiobooks and ebooks. So that'd be really fun.
I'm wondering whether they are still doing, they're still doing term papers that I had to do in English and in history, and whether they're communicating that to the library that the teachers are looking for.
I met with the assistant principal and the school media specialists a couple weeks ago at the high school. And we met actually in the high school library. And we talked about, the resources that we have here and our databases and our Libby app, just to kind of make them all aware. He's a great guy, Gary. And so Gary Massey, yeah. So yes, thank you.
Mm.
A library newsletter. I hope to start a quarterly library newsletter. I hope to launch it in the summertime. We've changed our library card application slightly so that there is a disclosure that folks can check off to say that they would like to receive the newsletter, because we can't just take people's emails without their permission. So it's going to be a slow process because we'll need to build up our list of emails and people who are interested, but we'll slowly but surely do it. And I hope to focus seasonally, 4 times a year.
So existing people will have a way to sign up to.
Yes,
opt in.
we're gonna be asking folks when they come into the library, are you interested in receiving our library newsletter? Take their name, and then new people who are newly applying for a library card, we will ask them at that point as well. The friends groups from both of our libraries, as many of you know, have been coordinating to bring an amazing entertainment experience this summer. It's the program is called Tanglewood Marionettes, and they are a renowned puppetry company. They come from Tanglewood, Massachusetts. They bring life-size marionettes. They bring their own stage, their own music. It's phenomenal. I've seen it at past libraries I've worked at. It's really amazing. They hope to use the high school auditorium in late July. The date has not been 100% confirmed yet, but we're very close. And we'll have more information for you the next time, and check our website and social media.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna sounds like a big event that will really reach out to the community, and I love marionettes.
Yeah,
so I will be
yeah.
there.
Beautiful, yeah, and it's really for all ages, you know, I mean, kids through adults, it's a wonderful event. On a less glamorous but still important note, the old boiler was removed from the East Haddam Library on April 1st. So that boiler room is now empty, and we hope eventually to convert that space to move the filing cabinets that are in that adjacent room, to move them into where the boiler room was, and then create that room that will hopefully now be empty. We'll put in a little kitchen table so they can have their lunch in there. They currently don't have anywhere to eat their lunch or a snack, and maybe use some other storage areas in that space. The 3 computers that are on the main floor of the East Haddam Library, they were on 3 separate sort of desks. Those have all been consolidated to one table, and the desks have been removed. So now there's more space to move around now. And
kind of tight to the chairs, to the stacks.
no, they're at the table, the big table to the right when you're looking at the fireplace. No, they fit in there pretty comfortably. And lastly, we are hoping this month that the mini splits will be put into this building to Rathbun, and that'll help us with heating and cooling. They'll still use the burner a little bit because they're not sure that the mini splits can heat the entire downstairs, but and they'll all be on the back of the building because it's a historic building. They cannot be on the front area. They'll be on the back.
Is that going to climate control to the historic collection?
It will be upstairs as well, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, so heating and cooling. And then our database, I've updated the website a little bit to highlight all the amazing databases that we have. I've kind of pulled them all out so you can see them by topic: health, employment, ancestry research, homework help. So we've got lots of cool things on there, like Niche Academy, which we were able to renew this year, Ancestry.com, Medline Plus, and Learning Express Workforce Solutions, which has standardized tests and test prep help on it as well. And lastly, we are beginning to offer tech help, dedicated tech help on Fridays. There will be help here in Rathbun on Friday mornings from 10 o'clock in the morning till 1, and then in East Haddam from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Anastasia, who I mentioned earlier, will be the person in charge of that. I mean, we always are here to offer, we can help anybody if they need help. But if specifically someone knows they have a question, they have a new device, they want to help learning how to do something on the computer, they can come in on Friday and
What
do
about
that.
phones?
Phones, yeah, phones, iPads, computers, email help, learning how to do something on the computer, you name it.
Oh, thank you.
And that's what I have.
Sounds good. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Allison? No. All right. That's a good thing. Yay. So we're feeling confident that
Don't ever hesitate to ask me
you're
questions.
going in the right direction
always
here. All right. So that brings us to the Finance Committee report.
Everybody should have gotten a copy.
Everyone get a copy?
So
All right.
You've been able to read it.
Mhm.
I did not receive any finger wags.
No,
Thumbs being stuck out.
no, it
So
was
you
good.
have, you know, if you have any questions about it, I think, you know, budget wise, we're fine. Covering this year's budget, making sure we're staying on track, which we are. She attended the hearing last Saturday, or 2 Saturdays.
Couple
ago,
Saturdays ago, yes.
On the budget, where they're looking at a 0 increase, which is okay, we gotta deal with it. You can see down there, the one issue that we do have some concern about still is getting the salary straightened out. And we didn't quite get to the point in the trip to do that this year, it looks like, but we'll work on it. What I do say, I will say this, and I say this editorially, she's already looking at the 24-25 budget. Recognizing 23-24 is by the boards, but looking ahead that far, which is the kind of thing you need to do. Down again, did you mention a bit about the shelving and everything?
We haven't yet. We have not discussed that yet.
Okay, so-
It's fine.
I guess there's $20,000 from previous budgets for shelving. But you've gotten an offer to get shelving built by a volunteer. The question is, can we use the 20,000 for other purposes? And so logically, the question is, you're gonna ask the first selectman and the finance director, can we reallocate that, or can they reallocate it? And she has some really interesting ideas about what to do with that. You've heard about the idea about the old boiler space. And the last one is the donation, which will come up here about from the Riverview Cemetery Association of $5,000. And we had a discussion about how it could be used. Again, a lot of different suggestions that were made. I'll let you bring up some of that when the time comes. I guess if it's about those, I forgot what you called those computers for kiddies.
The all computers.
All
yes.
computers. Other ideas. I mean, I think, you know, to enhance services. So I think we need to find out just how far we can push that 5K from Riverview. Is it basically strictly aimed at this building? Do we be a little bit more widely widely spread in its use, shall we say? So those were the things that we discussed at that time. She's going to investigate and find out. There were no citizens of audience, so we got out of town.
Yeah, so the funds for the shelving is part of the capital plan, and those are allocated funds. But as Bill said, you know, the question is, how difficult is it to reallocate? And, you know, however the original motion is written, it may not be particularly specific. It may not say specifically shelving, but maybe that was the intent. So figure out just how far those funds can go. Do you have your list of the potential things you would like to have spent it on with you?
I have it in my head,
Okay.
but I can update you on the shelving question. So I did meet with Irene yesterday, and I met with Rob Funk and Don Angersol today to talk about the funds that have been allocated and things that still need to be paid. And it was cleared, as long as I need to write a letter to the Board of Finance to state the purpose, that the money was allocated for shelving, it is no longer needed, and that I would like to suggest that we use it for a few other ideas and give the pricing and the sourcing and as much detail as possible. They felt that it would be safe for us to use 15,000 of that amount and keep a $5,000 cushion just in case there may be some monies needed for the boiler, for the boiler removal. excuse me, not the boiler removal, for the mini splits. If it comes in a little higher than was anticipated, and I think that's totally great. I mean, I like the idea of leaving a little bit of a cushion. So, yeah,
So I think it might be good, since it's gonna be a formal letter.
absolutely.
If you can maybe just tell us about those ideas,
Sure.
and we as a board can approve
Absolutely.
the reallocation, that we approve of the reallocation of funds, just for the record.
Of course, yes.
So,
So by next meeting, would you like me to have a definitive? list for you?
yeah, actually, that would probably be best.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be super specific,
Yeah.
if it just, educational computer, laptop computers, what, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, so maybe that would be an agenda item for next meeting, and we can approve it and just, so everyone knows that it's, those funds are being reallocated on the up and up.
Sure. Of course.
So you said somebody is volunteering to make shelvings, put shelvings
So
in?
someone from the East Haddam Friends Group, a friend of the East Haddam Friends Group, apparently has volunteered to make shelving
Oh, okay.
for the children's room,
Nice.
which is really nice.
That's
Mhm.
So just to give you a little brief idea of the two of the more expensive things that I would love to use some of this money for. Thank you, John. One of them is to purchase something called an AWE computer, which is spelled AWE. It's an acronym, which I don't remember off right now. It's a computer specifically designed for children. It's preloaded with educational games. Kids who are from preschoolers up through elementary school can play these games. It has all the sounds, the bells, the whistles. It comes preloaded. And to buy two of those would come to about $7,000. They're about 3,000-ish and change. I've worked with them in previous jobs, and kids absolutely love them. They're a huge magnet to the library. Kids love to come in and play, and it's not just like, it's not mindless. It's something educational and fun at the same time. The other idea that I had is I would love to redo the website, to update it, make it a little bit more user-friendly, and have some ideas for things to include on the website. And I believe that could be done in the range of about $6,000 from folks that I've talked to, and from designers and things like that. So those are the two biggest things that are on my mind right now, but lots to discuss.
I'm just thinking this through now, time-wise. Do the
Yes.
town suggest that you try and spend the funds before the end of the year?
I asked that. They said no. I
Oh,
we do not
okay,
have
because
to.
I was gonna say that
I
maybe we
know.
should vote.
I know,
tonight if
I
that
was
was the
thinking about
case.
that too, but they said, no, we do not have to. They obviously don't want us to just
Sit there forever.
sit there and then kind of fizzle away,
Yeah,
I think the more we're on it,
Yeah.
the better it will be, but it's not like June 30th, it has to be done.
Mhm. All right. Any questions for finance? Any other questions? All right. And when it comes to there are two more important budget meetings for the town, for
Next
citizens to attend.
Tuesday, 8 o'clock at the high school auditorium is the public hearing
Public hearing.
on the budget. And then May
2nd.
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
May 2nd
It came in the
is
paper today.
the town meeting, which will be adjourned to the referendum, which I think is on the 16th.
Yeah.
Okay, So-
Yeah.
the meeting next week. Next Tuesday. Is a good one to attend. You'll get a read. Candidly, I don't know if anybody else does, I had no noise about the budget at all. On anyway, obviously, there is a bit of a concern as to what the reeval is going to do. They're really not sure just yet, and we would know next week. Because.
They did put some numbers in there, but you'd have to do the math.
Right, but I'm saying we're still there, but that's still kind of iffy in terms of overall.
Mhm.
So But that's definitely is worth going to, because you're gonna get a gauge of what's going on. I mean, that's the first gauge
Is that at 7 o'clock at the high school?
at the high school, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock at the high school. And then the following, and 2 weeks later, is the town meeting on the budget, and that really is perfunctory. There may be some discussion, but generally it's a adjournment to the referendum on the 16th. So, but I, you know, it's not the most exciting meeting next week. And I don't wanna really, get you all jazzed up for it. It ain't the most exciting meeting unless somebody got up some cues with the first selectman's girlfriend of malfeasance, but we won't go to that. That was 2 years, I'm dead serious, that happened 2 years ago. Oh, it was fun. Yeah. I was in the back of the,
Yeah, you missed.
you didn't miss it, it was just funny as all that. That's all, Talk about dirty laundry.
Oh, boy. So even though this year's budget doesn't increase the payroll line as much as was indicated earlier in the budget process, I think that it's still, we should still approve the budget as it is, as opposed to encourage people to not to vote for the budget. I think any delay in the budget process always just causes trouble. I mean, and it's acceptable. We'll get through the year and we'll shoot for next year. All right, so then that brings us to governance committee.
All right, so we met yesterday. One thing we were talking about was the Google Drive, and we wanted to talk with John about where we are with that.
Yeah, well, after I set it up, I kind of stopped waiting to see what you guys would do, so I told Juliana that tomorrow morning is computer time, because I have to finish up the quarterly report for the reading room with their finances, so I can contact the brokerage and get the check so that I have money in the checking account to write the check to the town. And then I'll look at the Google Drive and copy over any files that are in the current Google Drive to the new one.
Okay, I didn't put this week's agenda or minutes into the one that I had been doing, because
Yeah, I told him to, we just stopped until you're, and then governance will work on filling in the gaps of whatever's missing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's files we'll be searching for. because-
Right.
Yeah, so we've just frozen until we get the green light.
So I told her I would let her know when, this weekend
Perfect.
sometime when I was done.
And we'll all get invitations to the new one.
Yeah, I added all the email addresses for everyone. I just didn't do the step where you get an invitation to them into the folder.
And then the next on the list is that we finalized and have accepted with governance and the employees, the employee survey that I had sent out. So did everybody get a chance to review it?
Fine.
And I'd like to make an emotion. We said this,
And
an emotion. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
we have to add
New
it.
business.
We have to add it to new business.
Oh, it has to, because it's, we're voting on it.
Right.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to add it.
No,
Oh,
This is a report when we come to new business.
then I can talk about it.
And
then you can make your motion that.
Okay,
You add it. Make a motion to add it to the agenda. And then we can act,
okay.
right?
All right. And then next on the list was the terms that are ending this year. We've got 4 terms that are ending, and we just are asking that people whose are ending to let governance know when you have time to let us know whether or not you plan on rerunning for election. And also for if you happen to know somebody who's interested, to let us know about that as well. And obviously, if you know somebody, you approach them first before we attack them. And but we also want them to be, if they want to know more about it, come to as this audience of citizens for one of our meetings, etc. And when it was discussed that like, and especially today's listening to that grant talk, just listening to all that stuff that was going on and like everything that needs to be done when you're asking for a grant, like to have like a board that's kind of like well-rounded with, you know, human resources, legal, I mean, not that, you know, we can pick and choose, but it's nice to just have somebody, you know, people that have that kind of background, like human resources, legal, fundraising, education, because it just makes things like understanding like today's grant thing a little easier and stuff.
Right.
So, and, oh, hi,
For the four wounded ducks.
whose terms are up? Yours, Juliana's, Janine's, and then Mary's.
And you know that you and I are, ours is 6 years.
Mhm.
Is Mary's, is Janine 6 years?
Yes,
Okay.
Well, so they're all 6 years.
she ran the same time we did.
Okay, what's Mary's?
No, Mary was a,
Because Mary was appointed, so she
Okay.
comes up in the next municipal election, which is now.
But for how, but her term can't be 6 years.
No, her next term will be 6 years. This term was filling a vacant seat. And so it just runs the 1 year, a year and a half until the election, and then she'll be elected for 6 years.
Who did she replace?
Vicky?
My reasoning is this,
There was, yeah, it was an
Do we,
appointment.
or does our staggering get screwed
they
up?
are.
Oh, did we not have, was it that we
that's what he
didn't
said.
have enough people running? It was just vacant, I think, in the last election.
But it had to fill somebody.
Yes,
And I know that the three of us is 6 years, because that's what we were elected. But her term has got to be less than that to keep the stagger. Because it's 3 people every,
I don't know
2
how,
years.
I don't think we can change it though, because the 6 years is set by the state, since we don't have a
the
town.
length of the term is. We have 3 of us are gonna be 23 to 29. Right? Be 6 years.
Mhm.
3 people should have been elected 2 years ago, for 6 years.
But they weren't.
Which would run from 21 to 27. Who are those?
I understand that it screws up the stagger, it does. The circumstances sort of did that, it happened when we lost Joanne. And then when we didn't have anybody filling the missing seat, it does that. I mean, I can double check, but I think it's gonna be a 6-year term. And yes, it does mess up the stagger a little bit.
I believe it. We should.
I'll check.
with the-
Yeah,
with
see if
that.
we're supposed to.
I'll double check.
That would know
Yeah, I'll check
Yeah.
with her.
who's what, but I don't believe
I know.
Mary can be for 6 years.
I understand the
It can be for 2 or
question.
4.
Yeah, I understand the question.
You
I'll reach out to Deb and check.
2025.
Mhm.
Because I think legally you have to keep the stagger. I don't believe you can come with the stagger. That's why when you appoint somebody, you appoint them for to a term, to a specific term.
Yeah, I'll
But I
ask
don't
her.
believe
Yeah.
you can upset the stagger. I don't believe you can do that.
Yeah, I'll ask her, because then the question becomes, you know, Mary would have a choice then if it is a shorter term, whether she's running for the 6-year term or the other term, so. I'll just reach out to Deb
If
and see what
that's
she
the
says.
case,
Yeah.
if she has a 2-year term, and I don't know what it is, I'm not gonna tell you this. Versus, there are 3 6-year terms we know
Right,
that there are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There is another term that is either for 2 or for 4 years. So it's gotta be one or the other. Whoever she replaced had a term either ending in 23 or 25 or 27. Has to be. So whoever that, right, 2 years from right now,
So it's always 3 people?
yes,
Well, it should be.
So
Should be.
for 2025, I know it's Chris, me, and Don. After that, I don't know.
Okay, then it could very well be that Mary was appointed to fill a term that ended in 27. I don't know,
I don't know, yeah.
All right.
but
So
find out what it is.
I'll reach out to them.
I will-
So Julianne, what happens if, somebody is 80 years old and their term is up when they're going to be 89? I mean, like, what,
Is there anybody on the board?
Bill was trying to allude to, because if he was reelected,
Here's what I'm alluding to. If you say to me that there is a 2-year term or a 4-year term, and if Mary, you would prefer the 6-year, what party are you? Mary,
okay, repeat the question, Bill.
what is your political affiliation?
Democrat.
Democrat.
Wrong party. Because I would stand aside and take a lesser term. I don't, you have to check it. I will do that. If you would prefer a 6-year term, I will say to the governance committee right now, then I will not let the Republicans know that I will stand for whatever the other term is, if it keeps staggering. As long as we have, what do you call it? Minority representation, it doesn't matter. So I would do that. If you would prefer the 6-year term, and it isn't for any other reason, then it's a way to make it work. And I don't care.
But I had understood that, the first selectman, whatever party they are, then all of the committees should have a majority in her party.
No.
No.
The
Okay.
voters, all it says is that I believe is that this group, which is 9, has to have at least 3 minority representation. So if the majority of this group is Republican, okay,
Right.
then there has to be at least 3 Dems or 3 non-Republicans. I'll take that back to be independent. But it has nothing to do with who the first selectman is. Nothing at all. Minority representation simply means that no party can basically command, depending on the size of the group, any more than 2/3 or 75% of the seats. In our case, it's 2/3 because it's
But
9
is this we don't have a charter,
state law.
it's a state law.
It's law. Yep.
So,
And since I don't, whether I serve for 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, it's not gonna, and Mary stays on, it's not gonna change minority or majority representation.
So I don't think it's gonna be 2 because the grouping, you had said that it's Alice and John or 2027, that's gonna make it a 4-year term.
And all
So
I'm
it's
saying
no
is if
difference.
Mary would like to serve a 6-year term, I will notify my party that I will stand for the 4-year term. I will notify you now. And I will notify, because I have to tell the Republican Town Committee that I'm planning to run and what I'm gonna run for.
I think this might be something that governance can sort out.
Right.
Yeah.
And we won't take any more time
Yeah.
with that. And so then that brings us, oh, did you have anything else in governance? Oh, we have, badges, yeah.
Right, but I think that's also in our original piece of paper. Yeah, that's also an unfinished business, but we did discuss the badges. And I sent the picture along and the middle one that with the logo and the employees will do their first name and initial and not a title. And I did get pricing. I don't know if you want to talk about it now or when it comes to unfinished business.
Okay, yeah, I guess we can finish up that and unfinished
Okay.
business. Okay.
And we're also talking about under new business, the policies that'll be covered under the new business.
Okay.
So I think we're all set.
All right, program committee report.
Okay. So we met on Monday afternoon. I sent an abbreviated agenda to Town Hall last week and did a more comprehensive one that I handed out at the meeting with a lot more details. Of note, there were 92 people that attended the last Alzheimer's lecture that we had in March. The capacity for that room was 110, so it was just amazing that we had the 92 people there. The Wrestling Cats, thanks to Mark, donated a very, very voluminous tray of cookies, which all but disappeared. And there were some other cookies that were donated by other members. And also thanks to Bill to go over to the Nutmeg Pharmacy and supply water. And I guess, Bill, that what we've heard too is that Nutmeg is going to supply water for our next lecture. Is that correct?
I am gonna confirm that tomorrow. I believe so, but I'm gonna confirm it tomorrow.
Okay. So our next meeting is coming up a week from this Sunday, and that is going to be on the 23rd of April. And that meeting is going to be addressing all of the legal and financial paperwork, ways that we need to, families, loved ones need to prepare for the changes that are going to take place within their households or their parents, in terms of what legally resources they have to have in place while they can still do it. And also what help is available to people through the government, through different agencies, when people do get to that point where they need the extra help and can't do it on their own. Allison mentioned a couple of the new programs that are coming up. I want to mention one that is happening on April 29th, and that is being sponsored by the Rathbone Library. And it's a woman that comes in, and adults or children can sit and for a portrait. And this woman takes black construction paper and cuts out a profile of that person's face, which is amazing. And those profiles will be available for people to purchase. You can purchase the mats. You can also purchase the frames. And so she's going to be there at the Rathbone on the 29th, and that is this Saturday. And also coming up in June, there's going to be a concert that is trying to be held at the Grange Hall. So that is still a work in progress. Okay, we have one more lecture coming up, and that is on May 21st. And that lecture is going to be entitled, preparing to make alternative arrangements when the family member or loved one can no longer be at home. So that's going to be a very, very important lecture, and also trying to discuss what changes you have to make into your home environment to keep your loved one or your spouse or your family member there as long as you possibly can, before putting them into an extended memory facility, which is probably the one thing that we don't really want to do until we have to. One last issue coming up with this Alzheimer's program. I spoke with Mary Ann Halpin, who is the executive director of the museum, historical museum, and also with Christopher Sortwell, who is the speaker. And we were discussing the possibility of putting together a roundtable forum, which would be another add-on lecture. And we haven't established a date with that yet. That forum would be so that people that might not be comfortable in the group setting of a lecture would like to submit questions and would have professionals there to answer them. So far, I have the commitment of a lawyer who is willing to do it pro bono, and also a nurse who is also willing to donate her time that afternoon. Questions would be placed on a card and submitted to Christopher, and he could put them out to the professionals there. He was talking about getting an accountant, maybe somebody who deals with extended care facilities, just so that people who might not feel comfortable asking questions of Christopher during a regular meeting would be able to, ask these questions at that time. One thing that I'm going to ask of the board is that people have been very generous in terms of supplying cookies for these events or brownies. And I'd like to petition the board that for the next meeting, which is a week from this Sunday, that each member of the board, I know Bill's doing his part in terms of getting the water, but just asking if each member of our board would be willing to donate a tray of cookies or brownies or just something, because the Friends of the Rathbone did donate some money to help us, have the refreshments available after the speaker. But a good part of that money, in fact, all of that money has already been spent between doing the posters and buying supplies for the two previous meetings. So I don't know how that would work, Dawn, whether or not people want to raise a hand and say they'll supply something, or people just want to email me and let me know whether or not, I can count on some extra cookies and goodies for the upcoming lecture a week from Sunday.
Yeah, I think people can email you, get in touch with you directly, let you know, if they can, if they're able to bring something, even if they end up having to drop it off, the day before or whatever. But it would be good for any trustees that are able to show their support. And they would, and again, that's at it's next Sunday.
The 29th.
The 29th at the Historical Society.
Right at 2:00.
23rd.
Oh,
23rd.
23rd.
And
Sorry.
Don, do we have an operating budget in order to that we can draw on for events like this? No. Okay.
It's not that's not our gig. It's the friends groups that would have to support the event, or people just donate what they can.
Also that the Historical Society is their ground, and they arrange for they made all the arrangements in the past, and that's who we can depend on.
Yeah, they're doing their part by providing the space.
The space for.
But also the refreshments.
Right.
And
And
decide what kind of refreshment we're gonna have.
Okay, so yeah, get in touch with Mary and people can offer up what they can, but it's strictly volunteer and a willingness to participate.
right.
Mary, I have a question about the roundtable forum.
Yes.
So considering that it's probably for people who don't want to go to a crowd of 92 to ask their questions, are you going to limit the number of people to go to the forum?
I probably we'd probably have to limit it to at least 20, and that will be something that we'll have to work out. Yes, because obviously, unfortunately, Chris, we would not be able to have 92 people show up, and think that we could answer them. And maybe, maybe at the very last meeting, we could have people submit, because I did buy some 3x5 index cards. Maybe what we could do is do a lottery, Like maybe have people just sign the card and those people draw 25 names? I don't know if, I don't know. I'll have to work that out with Mary Ann and with Christopher.
All right.
Yep,
I think we need to, we have, quite a few things on our unfinished business and new business. Mary, if you have any, is there anything else, specific? Yeah, I know you and your committee can work out the details, about that final meeting.
Right.
But is there anything else that we need to know tonight about what's happening with the program committee? Or can we move on?
I think the only other thing that I would want to mention is that I did write a letter also to the newspaper last week. And hopefully that will be in next week's edition, so to make the announcement, but Peter's been very good at putting these articles in the past.
Okay, so you did submit an article. Okay, that's great.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
That takes off one of the agenda items.
Yes, it did go in last week.
All right, thank you, Mary. Does anyone have any questions or other questions for her? Okay. So now we get to unfinished business. We are Finance Committee report. Under Finance Committee report, we already discussed the 2023-2024 budget. So we will move on from there. Badges.
So, we discussed yesterday's meeting, the badges and the different styles, and for the white badge with the is $6.95. The logo is 50 cents, and then they also had, if you wanted either pins or the magnetic, the governance and the employees felt like the magnetic is better. Lanyards were an extra cost as well. So with the middle-sized badge, it would be $6.95 for the badge and 50 cents for the logo. So $7.45 and 21 badges between the employees and Board of Trustees is $156.45. So the employees were gonna have just their first name and like their initial, I think you should have like, director of library, but nobody else would have. And then I would have like, however you want your name, Board of Trustees or something like that. I can place the order, and I can go pick them up when we decide that this is what we're gonna do. Because they will charge to have it shipped to my house or wherever. I know where they are. I've done it for Lions and Leos, that I can just go and pick them up there. So I guess, do you wanna take a vote on this, or? Because I don't know what.
I feel as if the badge is acceptable. I agree that the magnetic ones generally work out better for most people. And if that's what the staff is willing to go for, I say we vote and say, let's go for it and get it done.
Okay, and then with the cost, I know we were gonna try to maybe look at what we had for a budget, or to see if the friends, or I don't know how that part works.
Well, there's a
I'll be the first one to
communication
admit.
line. The library staff can certainly get, the library can pay for the library staff. And, maybe the Board of Trustees can all give you $8.
Okay.
I think that might be the easiest thing.
Okay. So what I can do is, I can place the order, and then when I get the final thing,
Give me an invoice and I can get it paid for.
okay.
So I guess the only thing we really have to decide on is how we want our names, and it should probably be consistent. I don't care whether it's my first name and last initial or my whole name, but it would be good if it says Board of Trustees
Right,
to distinguish us
right,
from
right.
staff.
Yeah, because just kind of like how they have it there. I totally understand where being an employee, you're there all the time, that they want just their initial. we would wear ours probably to go to an event, obviously, that I don't think it matters if we have our initial or our last name, but I think we should all be consistent. So you tell me how you want it.
I vote full name.
Okay.
I tend to agree.
And I know mine fits because I have mine badges. so.
That's not, you need a bigger bag.
No, actually,
Yeah, I might choose one of my two last names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Okay,
because I mean, our full names, I mean, they were on the ballot. I mean, it's not like, it's not like it's a secret. So,
I'm gonna leave
Alright.
Cheyenne out of mine, though, I just use Renato. Thanks.
Huh?
Just one of the two last names for me,
Which one would you like?
Renato.
Okay.
Alice, are you okay with your full name?
My last name has got 11 letters in it. so-
Oh.
Oh, that's right.
So, so probably the best thing to do would be to email Chris with exactly how your name that you wanted to appear.
Yeah,
All right, and is this something we need to vote on, or is this just a thing that's happening?
I think we need to vote.
Okay, all right then, well, let's see.
And it should come up under new business. We're
Uh,
talking about it under old, it's a motion. And that should come under.
it's
new business,
unfinished business.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is
Okay.
fine. I mean, it isn't, it's just,
Okay.
you can do it, you know, let's be candid. You do any damn piece you want.
Yeah,
I'm
All right,
just saying.
we'll do all our
procedurally
voting
it should
in
be
new-
under new business.
okay, all right, so I'd like to, I can't really make motions.
No,
but-
we can just get through,
Okay.
get through your unfinished, let's go on.
All righty. So that's badges. In the interest of keeping our under library goals, keeping the plan for a new library facility moving forward. There are people who attended the state library program webinar on building a new library. And I think it was apparently very informative.
there's a lot of us from East Haddam.
Yeah, four of us, five of us.
Yeah.
One, two, three,
More than five.
five.
And as far as discussing that, we can put it on, do you feel there's enough to talk about at this point that we can put it on our agenda for next?
Yeah, I
Month?
can put it on for next month, but I think the main takeaway after our discussions is that I'm drawing from this is something we need to add to next month's agenda is bringing back that strategic plan.
Uh-huh.
Because the strategic plan is required to get the grant, and that's something we can do, even if we're not really this year on it, we'll need that next year.
All right,
So Connecticut State Library can fund us up to $1 million for our building project. There are lots and lots of stipulations that we have to follow through with, and they are there to help us. They're there, to guide us. There's lots of guidelines, but we do have to be very stringent about following everything to the T. We do have to have the strategic plan. We do also need to eventually talk to SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Organization, because these buildings are over 50 years old. So they need to be involved as well.
Yeah, I believe they're on the state historic list.
Oh,
Because
really?
they went looking at
Right.
it for range in the town hall, they're both listed as being.
I thought we specifically avoided that here at Rathman, but anyway, there's a lot of content, a lot to discuss. So rather than get into it tonight, I think that we should start including that as an important agenda item every month as we work our way through the process. So I will put strategic planning and grant, state grant writing thing as an agenda item next time. Mary, did you have, Mary?
I know that she said this morning, that Dawn said this morning it was a 39-page document. Do we have access to that document?
It's on
It's
their
on the
live
website.
website, I downloaded it this morning. During the call.
And that's the thing that goes actually on the contract is that whole 39 pages. At least that's how I understood it.
Right.
John, did you download it?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it's on the state library website.
I do have one quick question though. And so we start the process or looking or doing anything that we can possibly do to apply for this grant. Even before we know how the
Yeah.
town is gonna.
Well,
We need a strategic plan anyway.
we need the strategic plan,
Right,
that's
so
a
that's
piece
part
of
of the
what you need.
strategic plan,
But basically, you have to have, what did they call it? It wasn't a preliminary design, but basically you have to know what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna build. The building committee has to be formed there, and the municipality is who applies for the grant. It's not
Yeah.
you.
right, okay,
So the only thing we can do is start getting ducks in a row.
Right.
Make sure that. all
before
of
even
this
it gets
is-
put on the ballot for anything.
Right.
Right.
Okay, I wasn't quite sure which,
One of the things they were quite
Wait.
adamant about is you can't do anything until you have the signed grant request back from the state. You can't hire anybody, you can't buy
Right.
any materials,
Right.
or you can't do
and
anything.
that's not even saying that you get the grant to move
Right.
forward, okay.
And the information for the
That's what I
grants
thought I
go out in May, and then the application starts in June, and the notification is in November.
Right,
So, and they expect you to take, what did they say, like 4 years? In the
yeah,
process,
like
so-
3 to 6 years or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like 3
Yeah.
years. to
Yeah.
get
So they
funded.
said they said that if you're in the meeting today and you're gonna apply for this year.
Forget it.
You're
Yeah.
like, forget it,
Yeah.
because there's no way you
No way.
can, there's too much work to do.
Mhm.
Part of our. We're gonna do the strategic plan, but I think part of our planning has to be. Got a budget and then an election. And we really should be thinking about our pushing a new library. Starting in December. November, December. Let the budget get through, I don't want to cloud anything, let the election get through. I mean, those of us who are running, we may wind up having to deal with that, but that's a different story. Frankly, running for the Board of Library Trustees, I don't think I've ever asked a question, but that's okay. But I think we should really think that way. We should use from now until November, let's say, for our planning on how to go about the PR campaign that we need to do to get the town to go forward, hopefully by a year from now.
Makes sense.
So we'll start putting that on the agenda for something that we work on every month. All right, then that will include keeping the library system and its programs in the public eye. We've got an article. Thank you, Mary. Hitting the press.
Allison too.
Yes, I wrote one, that's in this week too.
Oh, tonight.
Little guy, son.
Oh, gosh, I didn't see
It was in the
it.
paper today.
And then also what you discussed before about getting an email list going so that we can get all kinds of news out in a timely manner. Collaboration within the board, with other library boards in Connecticut, I think is attending that webinar kind of falls under that category, kind of starting to tap into state resources. And I feel as if we can go on to new business now, but does anyone have anything else they want to discuss at this point about goals? Or goals? Okay. So on to new business, the Riverview Cemetery donation. The Board of Finance met, we talked that it might be appropriate for the libraries to at least spend at least some of it to help care for the documents that the cemetery stores at the library, but beyond that, they're usually pretty flexible. And so we wanted to approve the donation and the details of how it's spent. Allison can figure those out. So does someone want to make a motion to approve the $5,000 grant from the Cemetery Association?
I make a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
All opposed?
Okay.
No abstentions? Okay. So go for it. You got 5 grand to play with.
Yes, I'm not making any fast decisions, just still mulling it all over.
Right.
That's not very generous of them.
And of course, Alice, when it arrives, you can write your thank you note.
Yeah, I still got them.
May I suggest making sure you talk with Jim Slithery
Oh, yes, yes,
on your plans?
Yeah,
absolutely. It's on my to-do list.
Year in and year out, you wanna keep them happy.
Yes,
Right.
for sure.
Right. So Allison and Jim will be talking about how those funds are spent, but they are approved by the board.
They have to be approved by the town too, right?
5,000, yeah, they under 5,000, I don't think so.
Well, I would ask.
Yep. That's the best to be sure.
Cause I know I've been amazed at some things that have had to go through and be approved, which I wouldn't have thought had to be because they weren't enough money, but the numbers that they needed to approve seem pretty low.
Yeah.
You can ask them,
Just,
and they just put it on, it doesn't
it's,
take long, they
it's
just.
like a
approve,
formality.
Yeah,
They just want to understand if there are any strings attached to the money, and those sorts of things.
So like you can only buy.
This is saying 15,000,
all right,
but I can definitely,
yeah, just double check with them, we don't, yeah,
for sure, yeah.
then,
Yes, we don't want to
and,
run afoul of something, so.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
and they generally take care of it the next available meeting, tack it on to even if it. All right, now, big item, it was recommended by the first selectman that we have a meet and greet and a little reception for our new director in celebration of the new era. So I was telling Allison that I am not a party planner. So do we need to form a ad hoc committee to make a little reception happen, or do we just pick a date and everyone show up and bring food? Should we make this a discussion item for next agenda?
Where are we gonna have the reception?
I'm guessing it would be at one of the libraries.
I would vote for warm weather outdoors at the garden.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We did a few years ago.
Mhm. Yeah, shoot, Rathbun, hope the weather's good.
It would be a nice way to, as we were discussing earlier, to start to spread the goodwill and the word of our future plans, future thoughts, and meet and greet with the community. I think that's a, nice sort of way to get the word out.
So I guess I'm looking for guidance on how to make it actually happen.
I think a person or people that are gonna be the organizers is probably the easiest way, and take that, and. I mean, maybe tonight we can kind of come up with a time that we want to do this, and then. See who wants to run it, who's our party people.
All right.
I like the idea of Rathbun Garden.
And we'd have to make sure it doesn't conflict with any other key events in town.
For the month that we want to do it, I mean.
June, before people go on
Yeah, I'd
vacation.
say you're looking at late May, early June, before school's out. And people.
July, they're gonna go on
Yeah, I
vacation
think
in
July's too
August.
late.
Yeah, and then August is too hot.
May and June are beautiful months, and God forbid it rains, you do still have the inside. If you did it a Saturday afternoon or a early evening.
Yeah, or you do a rain date sort of thing.
So they look between
Saturday.
16. To keep that, looking at that, that's the referendum. Right, May 16th,
Tuesday?
it's Tuesday, but just look at date, I'm just trying to book it. And then look at the Memorial Day weekend for starters, looking at May. And see if there's anything going on there, you can always go into June.
Yeah.
Memorial Day, a lot of people go away.
I'm trying to say, before
The
that.
weekend before.
Yeah, or you gotta go
On a
after that.
Sunday?
Yeah.
Or do we wanna have it on a Saturday?
Sunday might be nice, just because it's.
My thought is, on Saturday, you're gonna lose all the parents who have kids playing soccer.
Right, I know.
Or their kids have recital, it's
Right.
just like May, for some reason, is that month where Saturdays are wicked.
Little League.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
maybe a Sunday afternoon.
About it.
It's not a normal work day for you.
Oh, gosh, I don't care. I mean,
Go
people
feed
special.
you.
Don't even think about that. It doesn't matter.
All right, so we'll try and plan a Sunday.
Well,
The
the 21st, you're gonna, if you do it the wrong time, you're gonna run into the Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 21st of May is last Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's
Right.
also not a great day.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
The 14th is Mother's Day, so you're not gonna do it then. The 21st is the Alzheimer's event, the 28th is Memorial Day.
All right, so
And
first
June,
weekend
So
in
you're into
June.
take
June.
it to June.
June 4th.
June 4th.
So June 4th, so I was gonna, I cannot volunteer to be there. I'm gonna be in Germany. So
Oh,
I,
Maybe you can Zoom.
I'll zoom into the party.
yeah. You'll have a beer for us. All right, so we're gonna, how about if we shoot for Sunday, June 4th?
I can't go either.
I think I can be there.
Anytime.
Or June 11th.
Dawn,
Yeah.
German.
Oh, yeah, Mary,
I-
sorry, sorry if I missed you raising your hand. For some reason, your screen is super dark, so.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't turn on the light in the room. Okay, oh, so now I'm a ghost here.
Yeah.
I'd like to volunteer to put a committee together to put this together for that date in June.
Bless you, Mary.
Yes.
That's, if you're willing to do it, that would be great. So
Yes.
anyone who wants to participate, can get in touch with Mary, and start party planning. I am happy to help with setup. I'm happy to do cleanup. I'm happy to cook.
We could come right over from church.
Right. We can bring everybody. We're really good at getting things set up.
Well, I mean, is that a bad idea? Sort of brunch time or
1 o'clock.
is that one's church?
Let me do 1 o'clock. Let me throw this out there, just because you made me think of it. I hadn't thought of it before. If it rains, I got a
Or
big
across
wall
the street.
across the street.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah.
And I will, since I happen to know intimately the individual who's responsible for booking that wall, I can check with her to see what we can do. I'm serious,
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious. It rains, we walk across the street.
that'd be good.
Right.
That'd be
Yeah.
Half the cars are parked there anyway.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And we're planning, we'll cut our normal parking here now.
So like 1 o'clock.
I don't know, Mary, when are good party times? You and Allison can.
Okay, I have a quick question. Is this going to be for trustee and library staff, or is it going to be open to the public?
Open to the public.
Okay,
Everybody.
Yeah.
so it's,
It's
okay,
really, yeah, I would have to say that it's probably more geared towards the public to meet our new director. You know, the staff knows her, we know her. The idea is to get the public aware that we have a new director and have exciting things on the horizon.
okay, so this would, an invitation that would go out to everybody at town hall and also be on the town website also?
Yep.
Yep. Newspaper maybe. Big.
And I guess a more salient question, is there an operating budget or no?
No,
No,
no, we don't have a budget.
but we can work on that.
Okay,
Work on that. Yeah, so it's not gonna be a catered affair.
right. Donations gratefully accepted.
Correct. Yep. So yeah, more along the lines of donated refreshments and tables set up and paper goods and just mingling. Having meet and greet.
Okay,
So.
Yeah.
All right,
On the calendar.
on the calendar, and if between now and the next meeting, realizes that's a bad idea, we can work it out then. All right, but that's our current attempt. New library policies. Oh no, reallocation of funds for shelving. We talked about the finance and budget, so we're working on that. The new library policies, the governance committee and Allison have been working on making sure that some of the important library policies are in place. We have some that were part of our trustee manual, and there's some sort of vaguely floating around the library, but I think the goal is to have it all be standard library policies, right?
And also eventually be all be on our website so that it's easy accessible for staff if they have a question. It's easily accessible to show our patrons what our policies are.
Are we at a point in that discussion where there's anything to be voted on?
Not yet. At the next meeting, it's my hope that I can first go to governance and show governance. We'll discuss some policies, maybe 3 at a time or 2 at a time, and work through them.
So yeah, keep this on the agenda, and then we'll have certain ones that we can bring up at the next meeting.
Okay. So is there anything? No, we need to vote on the
Yes.
badges.
Yeah, if I can on that. Board of Education, there's subcommittee on policy. And that was an ongoing thing in basically every meeting. We had to act on new policy because they were constantly being changed. But it could be 1, it could be 2 or 3. But that's really the way to do it is systematically beginning in policy A1, going to policy Z199. And just making sure that they are consistent with best thinking in the library associations manual.
It's important, yes, I agree, to adapt them and change them and update them as things come up and and new things happen and things change. So it's sort of an evolving process, but important.
Right.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that there's a policy in there that no one other than the library director and staff can remove or move items, even if they're just on a display. I don't want it happened in which town with first selectman came in and said, I want this book on display. You can shelve it, but you can't display it. So it was because of pronouns. I can give a crap less about your pronouns. Doesn't bother me if I put it what I want. But I don't believe, I think it's gotta be if it's not there, when we review this, it's got to be very clear that it is the library director and the library staff who make those decisions in accordance with accepted policies of the American Library Association. It's kind of BS, it's gotta stop somewhere. Somebody's gotta say no.
Yeah, we've always, we've addressed that subject, once about Dr. Seuss, and I think we stood our ground and made it clear that, the library has standards that they have to go by and we're gonna uphold them. So, all right, so that will be an agenda item next month. Along with strategic planning, and we're gonna vote for badges, right?
I'm going to make a motion to put badges under new business.
So what do you want to do?
I want to vote on the, not badges.
Survey.
What is
Survey.
Thank you. I want to make, I want to have the committee, vote on the survey that the governance already.
Make a motion to approve the staff survey,
Yes, the employee survey, is it? to
employee survey, as developed by the governance committee. So move.
Does it have to be put on the agenda first?
move to put the consideration of the staff survey on the agenda under new business.
Item E.
Hmm?
Item E.
Item E.
All righty.
Survey. All right, is anyone gonna second that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And now look at that, presto, we have a new agenda item E, to vote for the survey.
Now you make a motion to approve the employee survey.
Employee survey.
Employee
Yeah.
survey as developed by the governance committee.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the employee survey as developed by the governance that will be distributed at the beginning of June.
One second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstention? All right, I think we. Now the badges, we have to just approve the badges.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send an email out and I just want you to respond like how you want your name. And for those that are not present at this meeting, you'll have, I'll let you know in the email, like how long you have to let me know. Because if I don't hear back, I'm not gonna order it.
Okay. So does someone wanna make a motion to,
I thought we already did with the under badges.
We discussed,
Oh,
so I would move to add item F, approval of the purchase of badges for trustees and staff.
okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed, or abstention? Okay, so item F. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the badges as suggested?
I'll make a motion.
One second.
I second.
Any further discussion on badges? No. Okay, all in favor? Aye. I am no badge. Any opposition, any nays, any no's there, and no abstention, okay. Audience of citizens. The Rathbins,
I just did, nothing.
the Rathbins are being very quiet and judgmental, but they have nothing to say. Usual, quit staring at me. All right.
That's why we had to sit there.
All right, if no one objects, I would like to adjourn this meeting at 7:50.
So moved.
One of these
All right.
days.
Thank you all.
Thank
for
you.
coming to this meeting. We had a lot to cover. I hope you- like I said,